Ndewo, Onyoma, welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk about Onyinye Ekwensu. If you ask a church person, Onyoka, Onyibo Nejoka, if you ask a church person, what is the full interpretation of Onyinye Ekwensu? This is when you're going to hear first the person will tell you, Onyinye Ekwensu is the gift of the devil. They will tell you Ekwensu means the devil. Yes, our ancestors were worshipping the devil. They're worshipping Ekwensu. They're worshipping Ekwensu. So any gift, anybody that does ordinary, anybody that participates in Igbo traditional rituals and Igbo traditional spirituality or culture or any forms, you are just eating and wanting to get the gift of the devil. So in so many words, the church has defined to us what this term Onyinye Ekwensu means, which I said earlier. The church, Igbo Christians, they have defined, they have given Onyinye Ekwensu, this sentence, Onyinye Ekwensu, they have given it a definition. Whether the definition is right, whether the definition is wrong, it does not matter. But they have given it a term, which is the acceptance of contaminated demonic gift from the West African deity whom they erroneously referred to as the devil. And this is, they're making reference to Ekwensu. So they are telling you that you are accepting a contaminated gift, a gift that Wetisibia will see. If it gives you, it is going to come back and collect from you in 1,000-fold, in 10,000-fold. So don't go there. Don't even try to associate yourself with the indigenous spirituality of your people, because what they are doing is seeking for blessings and favor from Ekwensu, and it is contaminated. It is against the word of God. This is the Eurocentric Christian interpretation of Onyinye Ekwensu. And this perception of Onyinye Ekwensu was coined and socialized to millions of Igbo, our ancestors, whose ancestors interacted with this cosmic force, Ekwensu. And because we have a history of going to Ekwensu, venerating Ekwensu, Igorioji, asking for something from Ekwensu, they have termed it a demonic thing. So any of the descendants of those ancestors that in this current day want to go to the shrine of Ekwensu or to even participate in Igbo traditions and spirituality, they are telling you that you're collecting something from a demonic entity, Ekwensu. So what we have here is that they were trying to discredit and make us disregard the contribution of this cosmic divine force, Ekwensu. Now, when we are now talking about language, when a language shifts from its original interpretation to another people's interpretation of that concept, it will lose its meaning. To Ndi Igbo, Ekwensu means another thing. To the West and to the church, Ekwensu also means to them the devil. But they now began to compare this cosmic force that we have in our own spirituality, in our own cosmology, with the one they have in their own cosmology and in their own, should I even say spirituality, in their own religion. In their own religion. This is where this erroneous misrepresentation and misconception is. And therefore, when an Igbo person decides to use in his or her indigenous belief system for anything positive in his or her life, they are telling you that you are dealing with a contaminated force, or what you're getting from these spiritual beings, it's contaminated, and therefore it is going to come and seek for something that you cannot give, and when that happens, it is going to now want to punish you. But is this how our own ancestors understood this concept? Is it how Ndi Igbo, is it how our ancestors saw this concept of Ekwensu, or even saw the things that we have within our indigenous spirituality? Especially when they said, yes, if you don't give, it is going to come back to collect 1,000-fold. These are people that don't even understand the Igbo indigenous system. They would pick one aspect and they would now just try to corrupt it, aberrate it, and shift it from its authentic definition, its authentic meaning, especially what it means to me and you as Ndebo. So before we now look at what Onyinye Ekwensu is, let us even try to understand what Ekwensu means in an ancestral perception. To us, or to our ancestors, Ekwensu is regarded as the deity of war, the deity of crossroads, the deity of bargain, and most especially the deity of justice. This is how our ancestors saw it. Because deities in our cosmology are there to serve us. They are there to do things for us. They are there to serve, or in a capacity that they have a function. Every single deity. Worship is not even the major reasons why our ancestors instituted deities. No, they instituted deities because they wanted those deities to do something for them, to serve them in a capacity, and as a result, or as an exchange, they will now promise that deity. So they'll say, okay, if you do this for us, we're going to do this for you. For instance, if I go to a deity and say, okay, I want to get married, I want money, I want so and so, and if you do this for me, I'm going to kill a cow for you, I'm going to kill a goat for you. This is it. It's purely an exchange. So within our own cosmology, the deities exist because of their function. They are there to do something for us. They are not there because we are expected to worship or venerate them. They are there to serve and to do something for us, because we see them as extracts and aspects of the Creator, who through the Creator are there to serve, because the Creator have said, okay, go and do this thing for these people. This is why the concept of Chukwu is, it exists, but it's without concern, because it has already given us these emissaries that are there to represent the interest of the Creator. This is what our ancestors understood. Now, on our own, we even decided to institute some of these deities because we want them to do and perform something for us. So while in our cosmology we see Ekwensu primarily as a deity of war, crossroads, bargain, and justice, when we want to seek justice, same thing with Udo, then we move to the deity or to the shrine of Ekwensu. Now, just like every pantheon and ancestral force that is predominantly experienced and that we predominantly experience and interact with, Ekwensu is approached with the same intentions of serving and fulfilling a function for those who interact and revere it. It is not a compulsion. I'm 100% sure that some of our ancestors existed back in the day without seeing a need to see themselves before this deity Ekwensu. So when there is a need for it, you go to its Ogun or its shrine and you talk to it and you ask for something. This has always been how Ekwensu functions within our ancestral Igbo society, not how the church have positioned it or made it to be. Like if you engage in any vice, any recalcitrant behavior, you say, oh, it is the work of the devil. Ekwensu made me do it. That's a lie. Ekwensu does not do it. You did it as a human being. You made that decision to do it yourself. So moving on. Now, Ekwensu has never served in a position as the primary deity within our cosmology. There is no community that you enter and they will tell you, oh, Ekwensu is a primordial force in their community. They could have a deity, an allosin, and they will not have an aspect of Ekwensu that is joined to that deity, and it will now serve as its enforcer to that deity. So throughout Igbo land, because how they tell you, our ancestors, when they say our ancestors, they are already generalizing that throughout an Igbo, that our ancestors, what they were doing was just worshipping Ekwensu. But there are even communities where you cannot even see an altar or a shrine that is strictly and only dedicated to this cosmic force, Ekwensu. So you see that I have already destroyed the argument of Onyinye Ekwensu being some sort of a contaminated gift. Now, as we are now looking at what Ekwensu also mean, now we now have to understand that Ekwensu functions in combination with other primordial divinities and deities, whose functions are diverse under different aspects of nature and natural forces. Ekwensu is a natural force to Ndibo. It is purely a natural force. And you see how the church positions Ekwensu to be an antithesis to all that is good and holy. In our indigenous cosmology, we can even say that Ekwensu is that deity that enforces the will and mind of the creator, that makes sure that when the creator says, I want this thing to stand and represent it in a certain way, Ekwensu is that particular deity that ensures that the will and the mind of the creator is met, and it is uncontested. But somehow we've been lied to and made to believe that Ekwensu is fighting God. It's fighting you. It is the demonic force that makes you to hate your neighbor. It is the demonic force that makes you want to kill somebody. It is the demonic force that makes you want to lie with your brother's wife. It is the demonic force that makes you to do every kind of hideous activity or behavior. But in our authentic Igbo tradition and cosmology, Ekwensu would rebuke you for even thinking of engaging in such kind of behavior, in such kinds of vice activities. Now, aside the primary functions of Ekwensu, which is to serve as a deity of crossroad, justice, bargains, and war, Ekwensu is also regarded as Eze-Agwu. And when we look at Agwu, you know that an Agwu to us, it revolves around akonuche, creativity, boosting your mental acumen. So we also regard Ekwensu as Eze-Agwu because we see it as an instigator of a creative process. Ikwe Osu. When you allow it to manifest, it could manifest. And this Ikwe Osu could manifest in two aspects. It could lead you to be self-reliant. It could lead you to develop yourself, or it could even lead you to self-destruction. So when we talk about Ekwensu as Eze-Agwu, we know that Ekwensu becomes an instigator of a creative process through Ikwe Osu. When you allow it to manifest in a very creative way, it will manifest in a very creative way. It pushes you, it encourages you to see yourself in that particular capacity. So if in our indigenous interpretation, this is how our ancestors saw Ekwensu, this is how it functions, how then would we proudly state that Ekwensu is the gift of Ekwensu are contaminated and are there to basically seek to collect from us 10 times and 1,000 times over? So we are now still dealing with the mental slavery that they have basically pushed on us, narratives that have pushed on us and that has perpetually kept us docile and has perpetually made us to not want to look within our indigenous spirituality and want to use things there to better and improve our lives. Now, we can also say that, like I said before, Ikwe Osu can be an instigator for self-destruction. Now, when we now look at Onyinye Ekwensu, what are those things that we would now list as Onyinye Ekwensu? If we are now looking at it from a Judeo-Christian perspective, it could mean, in terms of material wealth, people that goes to the Dibia or people that go engages in occultic activities, where they are going to use all manner of rituals and all manner of things to get to them to have wealth. This is what comes in the mind of a Christian. And they could even stretch it to even tell you, that maybe a prostitute that goes to a dibia or that goes to anybody to get protective shams, anything at all that you get, but you got it through a ritualized process, or you got it through a way that does not fall in line with the Christian religious doctrines, is what the church considers as Onyinye Ekwensu. But in our indigenous cosmology, what are those things that we refer to as Onyinye Ekwensu? Now, the first one here is, let's look at Ekwensu as Ezawu. Like I said, it instigates you to be creative. It's an instigator of a creative process. So Ekwensu will push you and make you to want to be better if you allow it to function in that capacity. Now, Ekwensu is known as the deity of justice, which means that anybody and whomever that wants to approach Ekwensu would be a person of courage, a person of integrity, and an honest person. So we're saying here that these are positive virtues that surrounds people that want to interact with Ekwensu. Now, people that want to relate with Ekwensu, they know that Ekwensu, it is there to look for justice. It is there to make sure that you uphold everything you're supposed to uphold: justice, truth, honesty. Don't take what does not belong to you. So these are the gifts. These are Onyinye Ekwensu when we are looking at it from a traditional Igbo perspective. But when we shift and derail this interpretation of Onyinye Ekwensu and push the Christian or Judeo-Christian narratives, we are now saying that how they are expressing, how they are experiencing, how they are interpreting Onyinye Ekwensu is coming from a derogatory and aberrated interpretation of what Ekwensu is to Ndị Igbo. This is why I encourage every single one of us to look towards understanding our culture and practicing and concepts that we have within our indigenous practice from our own interpretations, and not from a Christian or from a stranger's perspective. And this is why 90% of Igbo Christians would find numerous ways to demean and demonize this concept, Ekwensu. But in our reality, we see Ekwensu as a force for good. Nothing negative comes from Ekwensu. Ekwensu stands in a position that is trying to tell you and ensure that everything that you're trying to do or you do is good and worthwhile. And that's the Igbo interpretation of Onyinye Ekwensu. And until next time, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also share this video if you want your family and friends to also learn from what we have to say for the day.